Hey there, friends. I thought this was an interesting story that you guys might enjoy. According to court filings, first reported by Court Watch, on January 19, 2023, an Oklahoma City, Oklahoma sanitation worker stumbled upon a dumpster with 236 shotguns in it. The shocking finding led him to call authorities, who found many of the guns were functional, the filing stated. Investigators wrote that in late 2022, the owner of the store, International Firearm Corporation, Anthony Musato, had asked agents with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms how to destroy the weapons, citing a manufacturer's defect. Musato was told in the fall by the ATF to slice the faulty guns in 3 different areas, according to a January 26 search warrant. It's a lot of guns that were defective. What kind of guns were they? Well, you got a picture right here. They were 236 Radical Arms NK-1 shotguns. These are the bullpup shotguns. You may or may not have shot them at SHOT Show or anywhere else for that matter. But nevertheless, they've been out a couple of years, and I think they kind of got some popularity because they were known to be in that bullpup configuration, to be a little bit shorter. So if you're using them as a home defense shotgun, you had a little bit more room to go through doorways and down hallways. Several months later, the ATF was contacted by a sanitization worker, and the ATF visited the dumpster and found functional guns despite being partially cut. Now, of course, that partially cut is going to be the directive of the ATF. Now, when they say partially cut, from what I gather, if they're fully functional, they probably cut the barrel off instead of those little cute diagonal cuts that the ATF likes to tell you when destroying your personal property. That's more than likely what they did. Being somewhat ignorant, I guess they just cut the barrels off, and the action of the shotguns actually still work. But 236 of them piled into a dumpster. Now, this is super irresponsible by anyone. I don't care if you're anti-gun, pro-gun, Second Amendment rights advocate, whatever. We as a Second Amendment right group have a huge responsibility upon us. The anti-gun left is in constant wait mode, waiting for somebody who's actually doing things the right way to slip up and do things the wrong way. In other words, criminals are constantly abusing gun rights out there, and we sit back and we take the brunt of that burden whenever new laws or new rulings are passed down that simply only affect us and don't affect any of the criminals actually committing the crimes. So the anti-gun left are very much aware of that. They're very much aware that no new laws are going to change anything because it doesn't affect what criminals do. So they want us to screw up. They need us to. They need honest, law-abiding gun owners like us to screw up, and FFLs like this. Remember, Biden challenged his ATF agents to go out there and anybody that didn't cross a T or dot an I, write them up and put them out of business. That's what the Biden administration pushed onto the ATF. So these people are not looking for forgiveness whenever they find something like this. This is an aha moment for them. They're like, yes, we got another. Here's my promotion right here, baby. So this guy was super irresponsible in disposing of these shotguns. Now, I don't think he was doing anything malicious at all. I don't think that he was purposely trying to put these guns out here. I don't think he was purposely trying to arm anybody. I think this was just irresponsible and stupidity on his part. Simply put, this was not something that he was trying to do to arm somebody. With that being said, agents are now looking into whether Musato improperly disposed of the weapons and whether his staff provided a man 2 shotguns for free, potentially allowing him to skip a background check. Now, out of all this, and out of all the things that the ATF, even though they shouldn't even exist, out of all the things they could be doing to actually promote public safety, they always hang their hat on that public safety thing, which is total BS. But they always tout that. So there's plenty they could be doing out there from people, gangbangers and folks like that who were stealing guns out of people's cars and selling them illegally on the street. All those things like that the ATF seems to somehow run from, right? But they think they got a smoking gun here because they believe 2 of the shotguns out of 236 might actually have made their way to somebody without a background check being performed. And we got it. We got this guy right where we want him. The FFL is going to go down in this. You know what? Isn't it odd that everything that they could be doing, they're focusing on this little trivial BS like this? I did some digging, and in 2022, more than 10,000 guns were stolen or lost during that year in the United States. Now, these are all FFL related. In other words, these are stores that were either broken into, they lost the guns, they lost track of them. Somebody misplaced one, just anything tied to the FFL. In other words, their record indicate that 10,000 firearms were lost or stolen. This doesn't include the 380,000 more that were stolen from private citizens, right? So we've technically got almost 400,000 guns that were lost or stolen in the United States in 2022, if you go by these numbers. Now, I did some more digging, and the state that all of this took place in with the 236 shotguns in the dumpster was Oklahoma. Oddly enough, Oklahoma ranks 5th out of 50 states in the United States in terms of firearms stolen or lost. Firearms stolen or lost in 2021, there were 8.3 per 100,000. This was 328 total firearms lost or stolen in 2022. Now, I'm going to go through a little bit of guerrilla math here because I want to show what the ATF should be doing and should be focusing on, not that that ever matters to them, instead of trying to track down 2 shotguns that were thrown away. If I use Oklahoma as the model based on the amount of guns that they had, which is a total of 328 lost or stolen out of the supposed 10,000 for that year. Again, 328 in Oklahoma of the 10,000 nationwide that were lost or stolen. If that's the case, Oklahoma has 3.28% of that 10,000 gun total. If I use that 3.28% number of what Oklahoma has in the 10,000 of the national guns that were lost or stolen, if I apply that same 3.28% to 380,000 private guns that were stolen from private citizens in the United States, that means that Oklahoma had 12,464 guns lost or stolen from private individuals. So we've got close to 13,000 lost or stolen firearms in the state of Oklahoma. These guys are worried about 2 shotguns. They really seem to have a little bit of misplaced priorities here, if you want to know the truth. I actually did some digging to see a couple of states over, in a place like Chicago, where we have a constant flow of stolen guns being used on the street, sold on the street and whatnot. I did some digging just to get an idea if they're doing anything, if ATF agents are doing anything there. Because Oklahoma's likely, even though they're top 5 in the nation, they're probably not on the top of your radar screen as far as looking at who has lost or stolen firearms, right? But Chicago is fresh in your mind. So doing some digging there, I look back, and the closest I could find was last year and the year before, there were a couple of busts made by local law enforcement that the ATF got involved in and claimed victory for. In other words, the local PDs are the ones who made those busts because they were related to firearms. They contacted the ATF. The ATF swoops in there and acts like this was their operation, but it wasn't. The ATF has not run any sting operations like that. The sting operations the ATF runs is things like this, where they're looking for a guy who's really not doing anything wrong, but he slips up. He makes a mistake. Yes, he does something irresponsible like this, but this guy wasn't actively trying to commit a crime. The people who were out there actively trying to commit crimes, the ATF doesn't want any part of. They're cowards. They want no part of these guys who might actually shoot at them. They want no part of these people who are going to give them blowback, who's going to push back. They want nothing to do with that. Again, in Oklahoma, you got almost 13,000 lost or stolen firearms over there. And they're looking for a guy that has 2 defective shotguns. You talk about misplaced priorities.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. He's so horrible.